Force yourself to be consistent, everyone. Let's start with a hard truth. Motivation is fleeting, but consistency, that's what builds legacies. We all want success. We all have dreams. But the difference between those who get there and those who don't often boils down to one thing: consistency. Not talent, not luck, not even passion. Consistency beats motivation every time. It might sound harsh, but it's one of the most powerful truths you'll ever learn. Motivation is exciting. It's that surge of energy that hits you when you hear a great speech, watch a powerful movie, or imagine the future you want. It gives you a rush, an emotional high that makes you feel unstoppable. But here's the problem. Motivation fades. It's inconsistent. It's emotional. And emotions are unpredictable. They rise and fall like the tide. One moment, you're ready to conquer the world. The next, you can't even get out of bed. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't care how you feel. It's not waiting for the perfect moment or the right mood. It shows up every day, regardless of circumstances. Discipline is boring, unglamorous, and often uncomfortable, but it's the single most reliable path to progress. When motivation runs out, and it will, it's discipline that carries you forward. It's the decision to keep going when everything in you wants to quit. Think about anything truly worthwhile. Building a career, getting in shape, learning a skill, or developing a relationship. None of those things happen overnight. They require repetition, they require time, they require showing up over and over again, even when it's inconvenient, even when you're tired, even when you don't feel like it. That's discipline in action. It's brushing your teeth every night. It's hitting the gym when your body wants rest. It's writing another page when your creativity feels dry. It's studying when you'd rather scroll through your phone. Discipline doesn't ask if you feel like it, it just asks if you're committed. The myth we're sold is that we need to feel inspired to take action, that inspiration is the key. But if you wait to feel inspired, you'll wait forever. The truth is, action creates inspiration, not the other way around. When you act with discipline, when you do what needs to be done, inspiration often follows. There's a strange satisfaction in showing up when you didn't want to. It builds confidence, it builds character, and it builds momentum. Discipline also builds trust with yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, you strengthen your self-respect. You begin to believe in your own reliability. That's huge. Most people don't struggle because they lack goals. They struggle because they break their own promises. They tell themselves they'll start tomorrow, then don't. They say they'll stick to the plan but give up after a few days. This erodes trust. And when you don't trust yourself, it's hard to succeed at anything. But discipline fixes that. It rebuilds that trust. It rewires your mind to understand that you don't need to feel ready to act. You just need to follow through. When you adopt discipline as a way of life, everything becomes simpler. Not easier, but simpler. You don't have to debate with yourself every day. You don't have to keep asking, should I do this today? You've already decided. You show up because it's who you are now. It's also where real freedom lives. People think discipline is restrictive, but it's the opposite. Discipline gives you control over your time, your habits, and ultimately your future. Without discipline, you become a slave to your moods and impulses. With discipline, you become the architect of your life. So when motivation fails, and it will, lean on discipline. Let it be the engine that keeps you going through resistance, boredom, doubt, and fear. Force yourself to show up, especially when it's hard. That's when growth happens. That's when you become something more. Not because you felt like it, but because you decided to. That's the power of discipline. Small actions repeated daily create massive results. At first glance, it sounds too simple to be true. In a world obsessed with instant results and quick wins, the idea that small, consistent efforts could change your life seems almost underwhelming. But make no mistake, this principle is one of the most powerful forces behind real, lasting transformation. We often overestimate what we can do in a day and underestimate what we can do in a year. People set massive goals, get fired up for a week, and then burn out when results don't come fast enough. But the truth is, big breakthroughs rarely come from big one-time efforts. They come from the quiet, steady grind, the tiny choices you make day in and day out. They come from showing up when it's easy to quit. They come from building habits that over time reshape your life. Consider how compound interest works. If you invest a little bit of money consistently over time, it grows, not linearly, but exponentially. That's the power of compounding. Your small efforts accumulate. They build on top of each other until they reach a tipping point. That same principle applies to your actions, your habits, your mindset, and your results. Let's take fitness as an example. You don't get in shape from one intense workout. You don't lose weight from eating one healthy meal. But if you go to the gym consistently, if you make better food choices every day, the results will come. It might take weeks or months before you see real change, but it's coming. Each workout is a small vote for the person you want to become. Each healthy choice is a brick in the foundation of your new life. The same goes for learning. Reading 10 pages of a book might not feel life-changing in the moment, but over a year, that's 3,650 pages. That's dozens of books. That's hours of wisdom, new ideas, and perspectives that can shape your thinking and your future. Practicing a skill for 15 minutes a day may seem insignificant, but do that for a year, and you'll have put in over 90 hours. That's more than enough to get good at something. That's how mastery begins, with a decision to start small and the discipline to keep going. Small actions work because they are manageable. They lower the barrier to entry. When you aim to take massive action every day, you quickly exhaust your energy, your time, or your willpower. But when you commit to doing something small and repeatable, you remove the friction. It becomes easier to stay consistent. And consistency, more than intensity, is what builds greatness. More importantly, small daily actions shift your identity. Every time you follow through, you reinforce the belief that you're someone who follows through. You stop just hoping for change. You start becoming the change. You develop pride, momentum, and clarity. You build trust with yourself. And that inner transformation is what leads to external success. Yes, the results might not be instant. You may not see the reward for your effort today or even next week, but keep going. The work you're doing is like planting seeds. Just because you don't see the plant growing doesn't mean nothing's happening. Underground, roots are forming, strength is building, your future is being shaped. This truth applies to every part of life: your health, your relationships, your finances, your mindset. Big goals are achieved through small steps, taken consistently. And the beauty is those steps are within your control. You don't need to make a giant leap. You just need to make the next move, then the next. So don't underestimate the power of a small action. One push-up, one glass of water, one phone call, one honest conversation, one quiet decision to keep going. Over time, those small actions compound into massive results. Not because you did something once, but because you chose to do it over and over again, even when it felt like it wasn't making a difference, because eventually it always does. Your future self is shaped by your current habits. It's easy to imagine a better future, one where you're healthier, more successful, happier, and more fulfilled. But the truth is, that version of you won't magically appear one day. You don't wake up and suddenly become disciplined, wealthy, or wise. You grow into that person by doing the work, day after day, through the habits you build right now. Habits are the invisible architecture of our lives. They shape how we think, how we feel, how we act, and ultimately what we become. The routines you follow each day, your morning rituals, the food you eat, the content you consume, how you manage your time, these are not just random behaviors. They are votes for the kind of person you're becoming. Every action you repeat is a small statement. This is who I am. And over time, those statements solidify into identity. The future you desire is not built in the future, it's built today, in the present moment. Your habits are the tools that carve the path toward your goals. If your dream is to be fit, the future version of you, the strong, healthy, confident one, depends on whether you're moving your body and eating well today. If your dream is financial freedom, that future depends on how you spend, save, and invest your money right now. It's not about waiting for a raise or a stroke of luck. It's about making wise choices consistently, no matter how small they seem. This can feel overwhelming, especially when the gap between where you are and where you want to be seems so wide. But that's the beauty of habits. They don't demand perfection, they require consistency. You don't have to overhaul your life in 1 week. You just need to make small, intentional changes and stick with them. One better choice at a time, one good habit stacked on another. And the sooner you start, the better. Because habits don't just influence what you achieve, they compound over time. Just like compound interest grows your money exponentially, your habits amplify their effect with repetition. Good habits make life easier in the long run. Bad habits make it harder. The actions you take today might feel insignificant, but they're planting seeds. And those seeds will grow into something helpful or harmful. The direction is up to you. This is also why it's so important to be intentional about your habits. Many of us go through our days on autopilot, unaware of how much our routines are shaping our future. We scroll without thinking. We procrastinate. We speak negatively to ourselves. We hit snooze. Each of these actions, repeated enough times, becomes a pattern, and those patterns become our reality. If you want a better future, you have to disrupt the patterns that are holding you back and replace them with ones that move you forward. Changing habits isn't easy, but it's absolutely possible. It starts with awareness, paying attention to what you're doing and asking if those actions are aligned with the person you want to become. It continues with intentionality, creating systems and environments that support your growth. And it thrives on patience, trusting that your efforts will pay off, even when the results aren't immediate. Imagine meeting your future self 5 years from now. What kind of person do you want them to be? What do you hope they've accomplished? How do they carry themselves? Whatever your vision is, understand this: they are depending on you. The version of you that's stronger, wiser, calmer, more capable. That person is watching the choices you make today. You are either building that person or delaying them. So make decisions your future self will thank you for. Start the habit. Stay consistent. Don't underestimate the power of your daily actions. Because they aren't just shaping your days, they're shaping your destiny. Excuses are seductive, but they are expensive. They feel good in the moment, like a soft cushion for your guilt, a convenient escape from accountability. They whisper to you with comforting words. You deserve a break. You've been busy. It's not the right time. And just like that, your goals are postponed, your dreams delayed, your progress paused. Not because you couldn't move forward, but because you chose not to. That's the trap of excuses. They are dressed up in logic. They sound reasonable. They make you feel justified. But behind every excuse is a cost. A cost you don't see right away. It's not just the missed workout, the skipped task, or the late start. It's what that habit of excuse making does to your mindset, your confidence, and ultimately your future. The price is subtle at first, but over time it adds up, and it always comes due. Excuses rob you of momentum. When you tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow, you're not just postponing an action. You're weakening the muscle of self-discipline. Every time you delay, it gets easier to delay again. Soon, procrastination isn't just something you do, it becomes part of who you are. You start identifying as someone who never finishes, who can't stay focused, who struggles with commitment. And that identity becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The most dangerous thing about excuses is that they feel like relief, but they leave behind regret. That quick out might remove pressure now, but it replaces it with disappointment later. You don't remember the comfort of skipping a workout or staying in bed, but you feel the frustration of being out of shape, of falling behind, of not living up to your potential. Excuses feel free in the moment, but they cost you growth, confidence, and opportunity. They also steal time. Time is the most valuable resource you have. Once it's gone, you don't get it back. Every excuse is a withdrawal from the time bank of your life. It pushes your goals further into the future while the clock keeps ticking. The harsh truth is this: there will never be a perfect time. You'll always be busy. There will always be challenges, distractions, and reasons not to start, but success doesn't wait for perfect timing. It belongs to those who take imperfect action anyway. Excuses also breed inconsistency, and inconsistency is the enemy of progress. It's not the intensity of your efforts that creates results, it's the repetition. But when you make a habit of justifying why you didn't show up, you break that repetition. You break trust with yourself. You prove that your words mean less than your comfort. And eventually, that's what others start to see too. Not your potential, but your pattern. The good news is, just like excuses are a habit, so is discipline. You can retrain your mind to push through resistance. It starts with catching the excuse in the moment, becoming aware of it, questioning it. Is it really true, or is it just convenient? Then make a different choice. Do the thing anyway, even if it's not perfect, even if it's uncomfortable, because every time you override an excuse, you reclaim power. You prove to yourself that you're in control. Not your mood, not your circumstances, not your doubts. And the more you do that, the easier it gets. You build resilience, you build grit. You start identifying as someone who shows up regardless, someone who honors their word, someone who gets things done. That shift doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with a single decision: to stop making excuses and start making moves. So the next time an excuse creeps in, remember, yes, it might feel good now, but what will it cost you later? Choose growth over comfort. Choose progress over postponement. Because the price of excuses isn't measured in minutes. It's measured in missed potential. And that's too high a cost to keep paying. Consistency isn't about perfection. It's about commitment. That simple truth can change the way you approach your goals, your growth, and even the way you see yourself. Too often, people give up on things not because they lack potential or desire, but because they chase perfection and feel defeated when they fall short. But consistency doesn't require you to be flawless. It just requires you to keep showing up. The problem is, perfection is seductive. It convinces you that if you can't do something exactly right, then it's not worth doing at all. So, if you miss one workout, eat one unhealthy meal, skip one study session, or break one streak, the perfectionist in your head tells you that you've failed, that all your progress is ruined, that you might as well start over or worse, quit. And that mindset kills momentum. But real growth doesn't come from doing everything right. It comes from doing the right things repeatedly, even when life gets messy, even when you're tired, even when you've stumbled. Being consistent means staying committed through the ups and downs, the good days and the hard ones. It means understanding that one setback doesn't undo all your progress. What matters is what you do next. Think about any meaningful transformation, whether it's getting fit, learning a new skill, building a business, or healing from something painful. None of those journeys are linear. They all come with obstacles, mistakes, moments of doubt. The people who succeed aren't the ones who did it perfectly. They are the ones who stayed in the game, who kept going, who didn't let a bad day turn into a bad week, or a single mistake turn into a full-blown surrender. Commitment is the deeper fuel behind consistency. It's the promise you make to yourself that no matter how tough things get, you'll keep moving forward. Commitment says, I'm in this for the long haul. It's not based on mood or motivation. It's based on a decision. A decision that gets reaffirmed every time you choose to show up. Consistency also builds resilience. Every time you choose to continue after a slip-up, you strengthen your ability to recover, to adapt, to persevere. You learn that failure isn't final, it's feedback. You stop aiming for a flawless record and start aiming for progress over time. And with that mindset, you become unstoppable. Not because you never fall, but because you always get back up. The beauty of consistency is that it compounds. Small efforts done regularly turn into big results. You don't need to have extraordinary talent or superhuman discipline. You just need to be consistent enough, long enough, to let the results stack up. And the best part, you become someone different in the process. Not just someone who accomplishes things, but someone who can be relied on, who follows through, who keeps their word to themselves. That's where real confidence is born. Not from perfection, but from knowing you'll keep going even when things aren't perfect. That kind of trust in yourself is priceless. It allows you to chase bigger goals without fear, because you're not afraid of messing up. You know mistakes are part of the process, not the end of it. So let go of perfection. It's not the standard. It never was. Life is too unpredictable, too human for that. Instead, embrace the power of commitment. Keep showing up, keep trying, keep learning. That's what consistency really means. It's not about doing everything right. It's about not giving up, even when you don't. Because success isn't built on perfection. It's built on persistence, on commitment, on the quiet, steady decision to keep going day after day, no matter what. Force becomes flow if you don't quit. In the beginning, almost everything worthwhile feels forced. Waking up early, going to the gym, sticking to a new routine, learning a new skill, none of it feels natural at first. It's awkward, it's uncomfortable, and sometimes it feels like you're pushing a boulder uphill. But that's how every transformation starts. With effort, resistance, and a decision to keep going anyway. We often assume that if something feels hard, it must not be right for us. That struggle means we're not cut out for it. But that's a lie. Anything that pushes you beyond your current limits will feel like a grind at first. The force is part of the process. The sweat, the frustration, the moments where quitting feels like the easiest option, that's where growth is born. And the people who make it through are not always the most talented or gifted. They're the ones who refuse to stop. They push long enough for the force to become flow. Flow is that sweet spot where things start clicking, where the discipline turns into habit, where your body moves without resistance, where your mind engages with clarity, and where progress feels more natural than struggle. It's not that the work becomes easy. It's that you've become stronger, you've adapted, you've earned your way into the rhythm. But the only way to reach that place is by pushing through the part that feels forced. Force is necessary because momentum doesn't appear out of thin air. You have to create it. You have to show up when you're not in the mood. You have to train when you're sore, write when you feel blocked, study when your mind wanders. You have to take action even when the results are invisible. Because every small, consistent effort adds weight to your momentum. And eventually the grind you once dreaded becomes the groove you depend on. Quitting short-circuits that transformation. When you quit, you don't just lose time, you lose the chance to evolve. You miss the reward on the other side of your discomfort. And most of the time, people quit not because they're incapable, but because they expect results too quickly. They underestimate how long the force phase lasts. They don't realize that mastery is built in the trenches, not in the highlights. The shift from force to flow isn't marked by fireworks, it happens gradually. One day, the thing that once felt heavy starts to feel lighter. Your thoughts are sharper, your actions more automatic. You start craving the grind instead of dreading it. That's the result of showing up again and again despite the resistance. That's the quiet power of discipline, the payoff of consistency. Force becomes flow when you stop negotiating with yourself, when you stop asking if you feel like it and start doing it because that's just what you do now. At that point, your actions are aligned with your identity. You don't have to talk yourself into it. You just show up. And that shift is where greatness lives. Not in the first few steps, but in the commitment to keep moving until the hard part becomes second nature. It's easy to be passionate in the beginning when everything is new and exciting, but passion fades. Force comes next. That's the true test. Can you push through when the novelty wears off? Can you keep going when progress is slow? If you can, you'll hit that breakthrough point where flow takes over. And once you're there, the work doesn't just feel possible, it feels purposeful. So remember this. If you're in the middle of the grind, if it all feels forced right now, that doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're on the path. Stay with it. Don't quit. Because the day will come when that same force becomes your flow and you'll be unstoppable.